What's up, friends? Before we dive into today's show, I just want to thank you again for all of your support over at our Patreon account. It really means a lot to me. And for those of you that have not had a chance to check it out or subscribe yet, please consider heading over to patreon.com/Roadie Free Radio. Check out our page. Check out the monthly subscriptions for as low as $1 a month. You can help keep this show rocking and rolling and knowing exactly where your money is going to help support us month after month. I really appreciate it. With that out of the way, let's get to today's episode.
What's happening, Roadies? This is Robert Compton.
This is Lisa S. Bolin.
What's happening, Roadies? This is Anthony Cioffi. You're listening to Roadie Free Radio.
What's up, Roadies? My name is Larry Milburn, and this is Roadie Free Radio, your VIP pass to meet and greet the stars behind the scenes of the music and film business. All right, what is happening, Roadies? Welcome, my friends. Today's episode is number 131. This is your host, Larry Milburn. I'm coming at you from a barn in Northwest Connecticut. Man, spring is in the air. Can you smell it? Can you feel it? Are you feeling good? I sure hope you are. We've got a guest today that's a great guy. Great dude. I had a great chat with him. Anthony Cioffi. Mr. Cioffi, Signore Cioffi is on the show this week from Boulevard Carroll Entertainment Group. We're going to jump into his interview in just a moment, but before we get to that, how about some birthday shout-outs? Let's start with the sad one. It's Mr. Charlie Karp. As you know, Charlie, former guest on the show, played when he was 19 years old with Buddy Miles. Great guy. Unfortunately, just passed away 2 weeks ago. So sad to have lost Charlie. Today would have been his birthday. Charlie, wherever you are, buddy, happy birthday. Next up, my man, my guitar player, who, someone I consider kind of like my Eric Clapton, right, of my generation, Mr. Mark fucking Ford. It was his birthday over the weekend. Mark Ford, great guy, great player. For those of you who don't know, Mark Ford was with the Black Crowes. He's currently re-teamed up with Rich Robinson of the Black Crowes to do the Magpie Salute. You know him. I talk about them on the show all the time. Mark Ford, also a very successful and great producer, engineer out there, and songwriter in his own right. So check out some of Mark's solo stuff. Mark, happy birthday, my man. Guys, as you know, I took on a new day job, and it was interesting. Week one, done, in the can. It was a trial of balancing the day job with the film clients and Roadie Free Radio and being a husband and being a dad, but trying to make that money, trying to make that dollar and juggle it all. But it's no surprise to you. It's not anything new to you. You're all roadies. We're roadies. And we're just juggling it, right? We're just trying to keep it all floating. But it was good. It's going to be a good gig. Just got to wrap my head around a lot of procedural stuff to do. It's a nonprofit, so there's money coming in. You got to file it over here. You got to put it over there. But it was good. I think it's going to work out, and I'm excited by it. If I can stay awake long enough to do the job and be all those different places that I need to be, I think it's going to be good. Guys, do not forget, please, Wednesday, May 29th at Mulcahy's Pub and Concert Hall at 3232 Railroad Avenue in Wantagh, New York. There is a special benefit for tour manager, stage manager, Todd T-Boy Confessore. There is a memorial concert for him. He was with Night Ranger for the last 10 years, and Night Ranger will be there headlining. All right. He was also with Danger Danger, Trickster Kiss, Stone Temple Pilots, and Marilyn Manson. This is a very cool thing. So head on out to Mulcahy's Pub and Concert Hall, 3232 Railroad Avenue, Wantagh, New York, on Wednesday, May 29th to support a fallen brother of the road and do your part. Listen, we're sponsored today by my buddies over at Stagehands Clothing. This is a husband and wife team. And you know, I've talked about them before. They make great stuff. They are the one-stop shop for backstage professionals who are always working hard behind the scenes and count on high-quality, durable workwear. When you got to be stealth, but you got to look good, these are the folks to check out, all right? They carry everything from men's and women's apparel and plenty of super cool gear to keep you ready for the next task at hand. Use the code ROADIE. Get yourself 20% off your entire order. That's ROADIE. You're going to get yourself 20% off your entire order. Listen, in 2016, Anthony Cioffi, of Boulevard Productions teamed up with Carroll. Okay? Good old Carroll. They formed East Coast Entertainment Group, Boulevard Carroll. Very cool stuff. One of the East Coast's premier production companies. They got rehearsal spaces, recording studios, trucks going this way, trucks coming in from that way. And we had a great chat. Anthony, if you're listening, which I hope you are, buddy, I really enjoyed sitting down talking to you. Another one that came through to us from Mr. Jason Greenberg. And you'll hear in the beginning of the show, I talk about a petition that I have started to get Greenberg on the show. Anthony's going to sign up. He's my first one. I hope you guys will all follow suit, put a little pressure on Mr. Greenberg to come out here and do an episode with me of Roadie Free Radio. Anyway, old school Italian American immigrant family came here to make their way. And Anthony had a dream about being the best, providing the best service for his musician clients, his artists, and he has done just that. So I'm not going to waste much more time, but I did want to let you know we are also sponsored today by ShowPro Beard Co. Mr. Chris Wilson, the audio wizard, has gone out and started his very own unique formula of beard balm that not only performs well in terms of health and nourishment, it also provides the control, shine, and pleasant aroma that any bearded professional would appreciate. These are non-waxy, all-natural beard balms that will leave your beard soft, smooth, and nourished. Choose from a variety of natural-smelling scents like Home Sweet Home, Morning Wood, Through the Woods, Chain Motor Oil, and, of course, they have Original Unscented. Drop that code ROADIE in the discount box when you're checking out. You get yourself 20% off that order as well. Guys, hit me up with some comments, some suggestions, whatever you got. Info at Roadie Free Radio. And hey, the merch store is open, so head over to roadiefreeradio.com. Look for a shirt, look for a button, look for a sticker. I'm going to be releasing a couple of things this week as well, so look out for that. Some little knickknacks that you might need in your office or your road case. All right, here we go. Buckle up. Mr. Anthony Cioffi. Hit it.
Call yourself a roadie. Call yourself a roadie. Call yourself a roadie.
Now, did you say Cioffi or Cioffi?
Either way, Cioffi, I used to say.
Because Cioffi is legit. That's how
Legit.
you're supposed to say it.
That's right.
Right?
It's like, when you're ordering an Italian restaurant, not mozzarella.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, mozzarella. I never understood
right.
that one. What the fuck is that?
I don't know.
Anthony, how are you, dude? Welcome to the show. I've got one other quick question for you we got to start off with. I need your help. I need to enlist your help with something.
Certainly.
Would you sign the petition to get Mr. Jason Greenberg on this show?
Sure. And he's got a lot of stories.
He's got a lot of stories. I think his management's giving me a lot of pushback. They just want him in more of a silent partner role here at Roadie Free Radio. We're trying to get him on, do an interview.
Yeah, I'm surprised he hasn't done it.
I am too. I think with your help, though, with your endorsement, hopefully he'll hop on there.
Well, I guess he got me on this, so I can.
Well, he was very anxious for me to have you on, and I'm excited to have you on. It's even though it's 12 o'clock, it's still a little early for me. The coffee hasn't fully kicked in, and I can't remember if we've had an actual production company owner on the show yet. So if we have, I apologize to the rest of them. If we haven't, welcome. It's going to be great to get your insight and your background here.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
To color things.
I have listened to a few of your podcasts, and they're very interesting.
Right.
I'm on the road a lot, and it's a very good way to get informed and spend some, in the industry.
Yeah.
So it was interesting.
Well, thank you, man. I imagine you probably know some of these people.
Yeah, I mean, we come across them. We come across them.
Yeah.
But we come across a lot of young, really smart guys.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. And girls. Let's not forget the girls.
Oh, no. I mean, right. I'm using the royal guys.
Right. The royal we.
The royal we.
Nice, man. Nice. So you were just in London, I believe, yeah?
Yeah.
Was that family or was that work?
It was a little of both. We support Southside Johnny with all his touring.
Yep.
And I figured I'd stop in on a few shows. And then my sister and her family lives in London, and I spent a few days there. So it worked out. It worked out okay.
And this is it's Carroll Boulevard. You guys are basically
it's Boulevard Carroll.
Boulevard Carroll. Sorry, Boulevard Carroll. Again, I told you I'm not fully awake. This is basically a family business going back a while. So I imagine, and it's you, and you're the guy, that it's got to be hard to separate work and life. You go on a trip, you're going to want to pop in on a show, make sure everything's all right, say hello to your artist, blah blah blah. Right. So is the juggle of all that tough? I mean, you've been at this a while.
Yeah, I mean the thing of it is that it's very antisocial life. Everybody thinks it's very social. It's certainly the opposite of that because you're working every holiday. You're away for extended periods of time. My family has been very, very understanding. I don't travel as much as I used to by choice, and I pull the seniority card.
Yep.
Like I've said to many of the young guys who work here that, when you get on a tour bus the first time, it's very exciting. But after the first movie, you're on a bus.
Right.
And, but I do recommend that, people who are on the road, it's a very difficult life because you have extremely smart, talented, technically, people.
Sure.
In extreme circumstances all the time. And I don't mean, it could be weather, it could be timeline, but it's just being away from your family. It's being away from home. And, for what they do, and there are some people that do very, very well, they're still underpaid, in my opinion.
Of course. Yeah.
Because there's a juggling act for sure.
Yeah. How have you managed to, well, you said you pull a seniority card, but in your transition, you were a musician when this all started, right?
Yeah. I mean, Boulevard Pro was started by my brother and I. We were on the road. We were on a Mink DeVille tour, and we had a very successful club band, a cover band, and we had a bunch of equipment. And when we moved up to do a beat on that tour, we were asked, do we have any, they needed a B3 organ and a keyboard, which we had. And at the end of that tour, the B3 organ and the keyboard made more than my brother and I.
Wow.
So we said, a little light went on our head and said, this could be something that, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
It's like,
oh yeah.
Here's a light bulb moment. And then we opened the rehearsal studio in New Jersey, and we were extremely successful from the day our first client was Phoebe Snow, the very first day.
Wow.
And we had a lot of people live in New Jersey.
Sure.
And we modeled it after some of the New York studios. It's funny because that grew our business from very organically. And, years later, when we had a full-blown production company, Kevin and Tim Curry from Carroll Music, which we had done a lot of rentals from, we were basically, Boulevard Pro was basically a touring audio and backline company, 80-20, in Carroll Music is a rehearsal and backline company, like 50-50.
Yeah.
So when the merger, my brother had passed right when we did the merger. I had a twin brother, James, who passed right when we were going to, a month after we did the merger. So that was a much more difficult transition because his expertise and just losing my brother and,
Sure.
But so Tim and his brother and my brother and I formed we've known each other for a long time. And when we did the actual sitting down with our client list, Kevin and Tim's company were a Broadway and orchestral rental. Now our inventory, if it comes to orchestra, there's nobody that has more stuff than we in the country than we do. Wow. And with the combination of our rock and roll and live sound and touring and their Broadway and, the orchestral events like Lincoln Center and all around the country, those kind of the merger makes complete sense. And
Sure.
And it's just done much more than we expected, even with the forecasts.
That's awesome. And the merger, was when?
2016.
2016. And it strikes me, I mean, this kind of blows my theory, but I was going to say that like, because 2016, the touring industry had to start picking up again, obviously with the, the rise of digital music and all that kind of stuff. So, but I was going to say, it probably is a nice mainstay or sort of the base to your company because, the orchestral stuff and the Broadway stuff, because there's always that stuff going on. Whereas the touring industry goes through its cycles, right?
Well, it's funny because back in where we started to really gain ground was in 2007, 2008, 2009, when the economy really tanked.
Yep.
We weren't touring company to do arenas. We do theater. We do our thing is let's send stuff out for a month or send stuff out for guys out for a week. We'll pick up the bands from, Washington, D.C. up to Boston and do that leg of the tour. But when these larger acts couldn't fill these large arenas because they started playing to smaller houses that we have a lot of influence in. And from going from just maybe a backline order, now we're doing a backline order with consoles and monitor rigs and technicians, because these bigger acts, you go to 1,000 seat from a 5,000 seat, it's a different tech package.
Sure.
And that worked very well for us.
That's awesome.
Because, we really just picked up steam, and what we did was we made major investments in high quality gear. I know we had a little preamble here through emails, and really the basis of the merger is now we can do everything from the rehearsals through the tour, and it's very successful. I mean, what we did when we did the merger, Carroll had their equipment stored in New York. We have 17,000 square feet, 17.5 in New York City. Not an easy thing to pay the monthly rent.
Sure.
So what we did was we took the space that they were storing equipment with, which is almost half, and renovated for more studios. And then we just tripled the size of our warehouse here in New Jersey, and we have another warehouse outside of Washington, D.C., where we keep all of the equipment. And now we have a daily truck that goes in and out. Easy Pass is killing us a bit, but,
Wow.
We converted the storage spaces to more studios, which was a major undertaking. But now we have the largest rehearsal facility in New York City.
Where is that facility?
It's on 55th Street between 11th and 12th Avenue, 625 55th. We have the whole 6th floor, the top floor.
Okay.
So we have 7 studios with 2 lounges. We have conference rooms. We have production offices. We have it all. So whether it's an orchestra coming in with 100 people,
yeah,
or U2, we've done it all. We have the space available. Yeah, so it's really kind of cool.
I used to do. My brother-in-law is a guitar teacher in the city, and he does like recitals, kind of like rock school, thing every 6 months. And he used to do them over at Montana.
No, that's no longer there.
I know. It's such a bummer, man. That was a great.
Tell him to come by us.
Great old
We'll give him a
space.
deal.
I'm going to. Well, now he's shifted out of that sort of environment. He does it at the bitter end.
Great place.
But we looked at, which is kind of cool for these kids, like, 7-year-old kids to play on a stage with a band.
Yeah.
At the bitter end. But no, from time to time, I'll hit you up, man, because, it'd be cool. It'd be cool to do an episode, like a roundtable episode of Roadie Free Radio in a space like yours.
Well, we'd be glad to host you,
awesome,
and it would be our pleasure. But in regards so when we did the merger, we want to do a complete full compass of what we can offer everybody.
Yeah.
Because we just don't want to be this or that. We want to be everything. And with that, for instance, the things that the Carroll's customers that couldn't offer before, now we can offer with monitor rigs and things like that. So we've had many tours that come through, and we've done, or many shows. Like we just did the Van Morrison tribute over at Carnegie Hall. They came in for a few days of rehearsal, but with that, they took a monitor package and technicians and went to Carnegie Hall. And that's the kind of thing we want to, it's a one-stop shop. We can offer them better pricing on it and offer them the things they want. So it makes perfect sense to a production manager or a front of house guy or the tour manager,
right. And you can comment. I mean, you threw out a name like U2. A couple of years ago, we saw Roger Waters, for example, rehearsing at the Meadowlands.
Right.
A whole space like that.
What we did is we've had U2 3 or 4 times. We've had, when the Grammys came to New York last year, we had all of those artists. We have, we have everybody. David Byrne's in there this week. We have Fish in this week. They're there all the time.
Yeah.
Sting. we had Sting and Springsteen in the same time.
Wow.
Mind blowing.
Right.
Yeah. With a youth orchestra from Minnesota in another room.
This is all in the New York facility?
Well, yeah, at the rehearsals.
Yeah.
But in regards to touring, I mean, we've worked with everybody you could possibly imagine. We're in-house to a lot of theaters around the metropolitan and Washington, D.C. area.
Yeah.
And, we in my expertise, I'm a front of house guy. I'll go out with, at this point now, I'm the stunt front of house guy. I'm the guest. Like if somebody can't make it, like I'll go out with Don Felder or I've done Dave Mason. With Jason, I travel with Darlene Love and Dion and a host of people. Southside Johnny. When somebody needs somebody for a couple of days, I'm happy to do it.
Right.
I don't want to do it for 3 months.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just curious when you're starting out and you're, for anyone listening who's thinking like, production company side of it might be a good end of it to get into, let's just say. How do you kind of gauge like how much shit you're supposed to buy? Right? Like how many consoles you're going to go to Digico and be like, I'm going to need 10 of those things, but you don't know.
Well, it's that's a very daunting task. If you're not a worldwide company or you're not a Claire or Sound Image that can do anything and have everything, you have to be very smart on what you purchase. So, I mean, the things that we do and what I've done over the years is read riders. And riders will dictate what is what people are looking for. I mean, I have no specific console that I love. I mean, I'm a Yamaha guy because I've used them many times, but we have Digico, we have Avid, we have, a lot of consoles. It really is what the person is asking for. So if you're the front house engineer and you're talking to me and you say, I want these consoles, sure. Well, either that or we have relationships. I mean, we're in the hub of every large company in the world is within 5 miles of our shop in New Jersey.
Wow. And
the reason we're here is because we do a lot of cross rentals with them. And, some of these big shops that, are worldwide and they call us for something. And I'm like, well, would you need 5,003 of these and you're short 3?
Exactly.
But we've spent a lot of time and effort buying good gear. But more importantly than that, when somebody wants to get into, they have to have the mindset that, I came from a musician's background, and when you're a musician and you're on tour and something doesn't work right, or the backline is terrible, or the PA is terrible, or the sound guy doesn't give a crap, that's a very good learning curve. And what we've done here and what I've done and what Kevin and Tim have done is all our guys, we are here as a service business. That's what production is.
Yep.
It's like being a waiter.
Right.
You order the scrambled eggs or pancakes. You want to, give the right person the right thing.
Sure.
And if you're somebody who's starting out and wants to be in production, I suggest that they go intern somewhere. We get a lot of people that want to say, "Oh, I want to go to the show. Right. I want to do the show." And they say, "What time are you leaving?" We say, "Well, we're leaving 8 a.m." 8 a.m.
Right.
My mom has to wake me at 10 to get, so you have to find it's really about the equipment, but it's about the attitude. And it's about having good professional people. That's the whole thing.
Sure.
Because you don't want a guy who doesn't want to be there,
Yeah.
You want to have somebody. The equipment, I've said this a million times. We don't get paid for the equipment that we supply. We get paid for the responsibility that this is not going to fuck up. We are paid to make sure that this goes, and all our work is word of mouth. Your marketing is a very tough thing. It's it's like being a guitar player.
Sure. Right.
You play great. Jason told me your cousin was Mike Bloomfield.
Yeah.
Well, man. Well, you got to be Mike Bloomfield to get Mike Bloomfield job. You know what I mean?
I do.
There's not many of those guys out there.
Right.
There's a lot of talented people, but you have to work hard as well.
Right. What for you? I mean, obviously you saw that, the B3 and whatnot's making more money than my brother and I combined. But you were playing, you were touring, you were out there doing it. You were possibly following a lifelong dream or a kid's dream to go play. Was it hard? Was it a bitter pill to be like, we're not going to quite make it like these guys. Let's get into the back end of it. Or was it like, fuck it. Like we can still be in this and be successful at it. And without the headaches of being a musician.
Well, you know what? I think it was more the fuck it. I mean, we did a couple of records down in Muscle Shoals, and I worked with all those guys. And the relationships that I've had over the years and the people I've worked with has helped this business because they know me from there. They know me from this. They know me from just. I know I know a lot of people at this point. And
Sure.
and the thing about it is that you have to be realistic. I was wanting to start a family, and there's a couple. Being a touring musician is a very selfish life. And listen, and it's also selfless because you give up a lot of stuff. You want to be Michael Bloomfield, you're practicing in your goddamn garage when other guys are doing whatever they're doing.
Right.
There's no easy way to do it. Nobody picks up a guitar or saxophone or drums and just can play. Maybe there is, but I don't know of any.
Sure.
So when you see these guys and the musicians that we work with, and you see the level of persistency they have, it's from repetition. It's from the love of it. So I have a love of the whole thing. So it wasn't that big a transition to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I did an opening show with Southside a few years ago with my brother and some blues guys, and just as a dare, he said, "You can't do it." I said, "Yeah, we'll do it." But it was fun. But I mean, I'm not the guy to play on Friday night, at the bar. I mean, I think it's fun. Maybe if I retire, I'll just sit around and play guitar at jam sessions. It would be fun.
Yeah.
But it wasn't that hard for me. I mean, I know some people think it's crushing law, but it's people's careers change. What did you start out doing? It moves.
Right. I've done a lot.
But it moves, and
Sure.
It's fluid, and you have to be fluid. So
yeah.
I love being around it.
How many, just in terms of personnel and like logistics and whatnot, so you have these 3 basic facilities. How many trucks do you have? Do they range from just your simple van on and up to a big old, cube truck and the whole deal, or what? And people?
We have about between 50 and 60 people working. We have about 48 full-time employees, and then we have freelancers. We have 9 trucks. We range from like Sprinter vans to 26-foot straight trucks, and then when we have semis, we just lease them.
Okay.
Because the logistics on the other side of a production company is beyond the equipment and whatever else is the tolls. It's the fuel costs. It's the taxes, the road taxes. It's it's a whole other thing.
Yeah. Sure.
So that's the other part of the show business, and to incorporate all that and make sure that you're not losing money on that stuff and the logistics of it, you have to be very efficient. So, when we did the merger, I told my partners, we'll get this together in 6 months. I was like, and they said, my partner came and said, I think it's going to take a couple of years. I was like, no fucking way. I'll get this together in 6 months. And it was like, yeah, it's been 2 years and we just got it together. Because merging inventories,
sure,
merging personnel, changing the culture of how we want everybody to work, just inventory programs, nightmare.
Right.
But websites, signage, it's
right. It's a whole thing.
It's a marketing thing that it's like if you're a musician, you got to go play. You got to go play with everybody.
Sure.
If you're production,
right? A lot of people that that I've talked to came up through like SIR, Claire, right? And they start at that bottom thing. Here, go to the dock, load the trucks. Go spend whatever it is, a few months, ripping out speakers, putting them back together, fixing, blah blah blah. Almost like a training ground to learn.
That's exactly right.
Is that the same type of thing you do? Is that sort of the first? If I came to you as a 21-year kid, say I want to work here, work in the business, like, okay, here's how it's gonna work. You're going to go in there. You're not going to talk to anybody. You're going to fix speaker cabinets and load and unload trucks. And then in like a year, you can come out for lunch.
Well, what we do is we it works. What we try to do is train people.
Yeah.
We don't want someone just to push boxes.
Sure.
We want someone who we really don't want that type of guy, because there are people just push boxes, and there's nothing wrong with it. But we want someone who can understand it. So I always say it's like getting under the skirt of the console, getting under the skirt of the sound system. When you learn how these things are wired, and when you learn, and look, when we first started, we were building our own sound systems.
Right.
we and my brother and I and a guy that was in the band with us, a guy named Todd, his father was like carpenter, like inventor kind of guy. And he had a great shop, and we would just literally build stuff, and it worked. And it took us a long time to do it, but you start to understand that now, with the internet and everything, there's so many learning tools. But in regards to being somebody who just comes in, if you want to be an engineer, you want to learn how to use it. A lot of times we're not mixing shows, obviously. We're supplying everything. But we have guys there that are capable to help. Now, that's a whole other mindset.
Right.
If you're the engineer and I'm your systems tech, I'm going to treat you to everything. I'm not going to say I can do a better job than you. I'm going to do everything I could possibly do to help you. And have that mindset is not what every young engineer has, unfortunately.
Sure.
But we have a bunch of guys that are doing really well. And Jason being one of the guys, he's very soft-spoken and even-keeled. And sometimes, people are just nuts.
Right.
We don't know what happened to him the day before. We did a show last night, and they were saying, yesterday was a nightmare. Oh, okay, well, I'm sorry. Should have hired us.
Right.
Right. But in the mindset for a young guy, it's like anything else. You gotta really stick to it. It's not something that comes. It's not American Idol.
Right.
It's not. Those artists, talented people. The problem is once the show's over, they have no experience to fall back on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in any business, you really have to have a desire to do it, a love to do it, and you'll find out. And we have guys who say, "Oh, it didn't work out." That's fine, man. Mm-hmm. We've had guys who've moved to like AV companies or moved to a hotel AV position because they just want to work 9 to 5, and you know what? It's perfectly cool, but this is not a 9 to 5 job.
Right.
You're
right. Yeah.
But it's exciting and it's rewarding.
Sure.
And it's never boring.
Yeah. Right. I like that you're still out there mixing, when you can and when they need you and whatnot, and that you're getting your hands dirty. I'll
drive the truck. I don't care.
Or anything.
It doesn't matter to me.
Get it done.
I try to do, nothing is above me and nothing is below me. I'll do whatever, anything. And I think that's a good way I lead because people see that I'm not afraid to do whatever.
Yeah.
I prefer not to because, I met my quota of the 3 million road cases pushed.
Yeah. What are you still learning? Are you surprised by things that you still learn? Are you like, fuck, I didn't know that one today?
I'm always learning. I'm always learning because there's a million ways to skin a cat, man. I've learned some really cool things from young guys. I've learned some things from really veteran guys and some young guys. There's some young guys on the digital end that has some really cool tricks and really understand it. You learn something every day. There's a different way to do this. Organizationally wise, I've learned lots of things from lots of people. I observe the way people are, like there are some tours that come through that, there's 3 semis and they got them loaded in an hour. Right. Because there's a really good production manager and really good labeling and really good direction, how to direct a crew of 40 guys where they're not bumping into each other and being respectful to everybody and getting it done. So I've learned tons of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
And when the guys go out on the road and they're the production guy for the band, and whether they're doing monitors or just backline or both or whatever, we try to treat local crews with respect because they deserve respect. And if you treat them that way, you have much better results.
Sure.
So it's a cooperation thing, Yeah. That's what I've learned.
Are you Jersey born and bred?
I was born in New York and then moved to New Jersey with my family. Uh-huh. And now I split my time between New Jersey and I have a place up in Newport, Rhode Island.
Oh, nice. Where in New York? Where in New York were you from originally?
I was born in the Bronx.
In the Bronx?
Garfield Street.
Nice.
Come on. Yo, you still got family there, yo? Yeah.
Yeah?
Absolutely.
Tell me about your folks. First gen?
My folks were my father was born in the United States. My mother was born in Italy. They met. My grandmother and her husband were. My grandfather was a tailor in Europe, in Italy, and found out that this is before the war, or right when the war happened, that they needed, tailors to do the Navy, and they were paying like $2 a week, something crazy. But it was so much money more than he was doing.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was $12 a week, or something crazy.
Yeah.
So they moved to New York and lived right off Bleecker Street, and then moved to Norfolk, Virginia, my grandparents, so he could work in the Navy.
Sure.
So my grandmother would have Navy guys over her house every Sunday for dinner, I think trying to get her daughters married off. And my mother and father met at one of those Sunday, gravy and pasta dinners, and found out that they only lived a few blocks away from each other.
Wow.
So, my father was in World War II. He got shot and was sent to North Africa, and he spent the rest of his time there. Came back to the United States. They were married, and I had two older sisters. My one sister passed away. I have another sister who lives in Italy and London. And I had and my brother and I, we lived in New York and then moved to New Jersey. My sister is an art dealer in London. And my brother and I were musicians, and we just, my father was a very hardworking guy. My mother was a hardworking guy. My mother and my grandmother lived with us when my grandfather passed away, and they were seamstress, and they would just have a business, like, fixing couches and my father worked at a supermarket for years. He was a manager, and then he bought a bread route because he could make more money. When my father had a stroke, I started doing the family bread route now, and then eventually when I left being on tour, I had no money, had no idea what to do.
Yeah.
So my brother went to work for Sam Ash Music as a stock guy, and became the sales manager on 48th Street for all the stores.
Wow.
And I was doing the bread route. I did it for 17 years while we were building our business. So I would do the bread route. I'd go play a gig, and then I go, all the time. Right. I did it for 17 years, and working. We opened up a little rehearsal studio, and then we opened up a recording studio, and I did that for 17 years. And I had a goal that said, as soon as I can make enough money doing this and support my family, I'm going to get rid of the bread, which I did. My brother left his job at Sam Ash and definitely took a pay cut in the beginning.
Sure. But
it all turned out, you got to put 100% in to get 100% out.
How old were you when you got out of the bread route thing?
Well, let's see. Today's my birthday. I'm 63 today.
Get out of here.
Yeah. So. Oh
man, happy birthday.
Thank you. But I did the bread route from the time I was 27 to 17 years till about 45. I did it a long time. And then when I put 100% into this business, when I could afford to, it just took off. Sure. That's like 2001. Of course, then 2001 happens, and then everything falls apart. But
right.
It really started to generate, and it was really from when we grew the business, and the way Carroll did the exact same thing. They started in 1945. Their father. Wow. And they took over the business in like 82, and the relationships they built over the years are the same relationship. It's a relationship business. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like being a front of house guy for a band. You have a relationship with that band. Mm-hmm. And I tell young guys, I said, you want to be a front of house touring engineer? Dude, you have to earn that spot by either working with a band from when they're infancy or having a referral from somebody else. Yeah. That's how I did it.
Do you think those types of things hold true today? Those types of ideals?
I hope so. I mean, how does a young guy get a job as a touring front of house guy? It's either from working with a sound company or a company like ours, and they had a relationship and they started from somewhere, or they have a rep. Right. And there's a lot of young guys that are really talented, and I listen to some mixes and I'm like, holy cow, this is good. Yeah. And then I hear some that, holy cow, this guy's missed the mark a bit. Right. Yeah. But and in regards to that, I think it still holds true. I mean, how else do young guys? I mean, you've interviewed a whole bunch of people. How do they get the job?
Sure. Well, basically that same way. And, especially the ones that were working at SIR or working at a company or working in a club and an act came through and they just saw something in that person, whatever it was, right? It was a good mix or it was a good hang. It was a good vibe. It was just, you're a good person. You're Johnny on the spot, as they say, right? Or Jill on the spot.
Yeah.
We need someone. You're coming out with us. So yeah, I totally agree. I'm just curious, you come from old school family, where your handshake, your word, that's your thing, man. And, people today, they don't like to talk on the phone. They use the smartphone, but they're texting, they're tweeting, whatever the fuck. They're not picking up a phone. I'm a phone call guy.
Me too.
Which is why when I do these interviews, I'd rather do video so I can see you and we can interact, right? But some people, they don't like that. They just want to do the audio so they can hear you, whatever. That's a whole other thing. But, an email, like it comes up now there's a thing where like email, people are bothered by email. Just text me what you want. It's like, listen, pick up a phone. You can get so much more done just talking to somebody. So I was just curious, as you're, what you think about that today with people and with technology and how that's affected.
I think that's a major problem because we're doing a show today. Perfect example. We're doing a show at the Metropolitan Museum of Modern Art for the new Play It Loud exhibition. Don Felder, a longtime client of ours. It's a Metropolitan Museum, or excuse me, I'm being corrected.
Who's that? Greenberg jumped in?
No, he's there at the Metro.
He's working right now. Okay.
Yeah. We're there to support Don. He did a thing for CBS Sunday Morning where he played. It's about famous guitar solos and him and Jeff Beck and David Gilmour and Steve Steve Cropper.
Right.
They've got their guitars in there and famous solos. So I've been trying to reach these people on the phone about what time to be there and what time. So they just called me, literally, just Jason and Daryl, who are on the show, just called me and said, hey, they say Don's playing at 8:00 tonight. I have no information on this. Nobody knows anything. And I get a text message. Oh, we'll update you later. I said, I have two guys there that are there at 10:00 in the morning for a 3:00 shoot.
Yeah.
And now it's an 8:00. It's all about budgeting, so
sure.
But I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate it. And and at some point when the shit hits the fan is when you get a phone call. But I mean, we don't get any more. We have a fax number that never rings, Yeah. And I don't mind emails. Email's a great thing when somebody sends a rider. And you can email them you can email them the work order, and you could change things because guys are busy,
sure.
And gals, they're busy on the road and they don't have time to advance something. Mm-hmm. You're thinking about something next week, they're thinking about something tomorrow.
Right.
And the biggest problem for us is we're budgeting to the promoter.
Right.
So the promoter calls us and says, here's the rider, here's the date. I need to get a budget on what your end is going to cost to make the offer. We do a lot of that. I do a lot of that. And I don't mind doing it. We do it at no charge, and we do it as for a service for our clients. Because if you're hiring a band and they have their rider, you want to know it all affects everything. It affects ticket price. It affects you got to make sure. So that stuff is the worst when you're getting emails that are say the rider's dated 2010.
Right. Right.
And nobody will answer the phone. And the person that's on the text or on the hasn't worked for the band in 4 years. And so I think that's a major problem. I think it's a communication problem. I think it's a way people connect socially. Mm-hmm. And I think that's going to the wayside.
Aside from this kind of stuff, which is totally makes sense. You've been at this a long time. What's the thing that you like the least? Like what's the part of the job? It's just like, fuck this. I don't want to do this again. The part I like the least, I hate nickel and diamond. I hate that because we offer a fair price. And what I've done for years is I do a line item quote. So about and that's what we do as a company. Everything we bring has a price or doesn't have a price. We list everything. And I hate I only sold 200 tickets. Right.
Well, okay, we should have canceled the show, or
Right.
And you know, I like the business. I don't hate anything about it. I like 99% of the people in the business. I think they're professional. I think that they're worthwhile people. I think that people have bad days, and you just got to get through that because they're not bad people. I think there are some people who are out there to screw people, and those are like, you know, the used car salesmen, promoters, and you know, we've been screwed once or twice.
Yeah.
You know, so. Chasing people for money. That's the thing I hate the least. But I don't do that. Kevin, my partner.
So you got a guy for that.
He's a guy, man. He's good at it. You know, it's funny because their expertise is great because between the connections they have with Broadway and Tim takes care of a lot of the Broadway grand pianos and things like that. And Kevin is more of the here's your invoice. Thank you very much for the work. When can we expect payment? Right. And he's a very the super nice guys and very knowledgeable about things. I've learned a lot of things from those guys. You know, because it's a different mindset.
Sure.
Listen, a Broadway performer is a completely different mindset than Cardi B. You know, both very talented people, both very nice people, but a whole different level of what concerns them.
Sure.
You know?
Sure. Right. I imagine the approach is probably a little different too, right?
Oh, it's
Yeah.
Sorry, my.
Okay.
Yeah, the approach is a bit different, but at the end, the result, they all need the same thing.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep.
And I'm sure you find that when you interview people, it's really similar.
Sure.
You know.
Oh yeah.
You know, but I mean, from this perspective of us, we are the provider of. We're trying to make your the experience to your audience and for the artists to be what they expect and what they're hoping for.
Yeah.
And I get a great joy out of that.
Yeah.
You know, I get a great pride and joy out of that.
You obviously have and have had, it sounds like most of your life, pretty outstanding work ethic that I imagine you picked up from your dad and your mom and grandmother and having a close-knit family like that. But when you and your brother started playing music, what was your dad doing?
My dad was doing a bread. Well, wait a minute. My dad would but he would get up at 1 o'clock in the morning, and we could do band practice until 10 o'clock at night. He didn't care. He was cool with it.
He was good. So here are my two sons. Right, I've just worked my balls off in the Bronx to create a life for them, and we're in the 70s.
Yeah, late 70s. I mean, or mid 70s. You know, by the late 70s, my brother and I were out. Touring with a cover band that we had created, and went all over the country with it, and built our own PA, and we're in Ohio at Ohio State, and if something broke, we had to figure out how to fix it.
Sure.
And we had an agent said, here you're playing, and you get the Rand McNally map, not GPS.
Yeah, right. Of course, I know.
You know, you want to call home? Let's stop at the phone booth.
Right. Yeah.
with a dial.
I'm still part of the generation that when I moved to Los Angeles, they had the Thomas Guide.
Oh, there you go.
Remember those things?
Thomas, I used to do it on a bread route. Same thing.
Oh, yeah. But so my question is, so you didn't get any pushback from an old school dad who was like, what the fuck? My kids have long hair. They're smoking dope and they're playing music. I'm driving a bread route. Or did you?
Well, it's funny thing about it is my brother and I were twins. My brother did all the experimental stuff. I never smoked, never drank in my whole life.
Wow.
Because when I was 13, I think I got drunk when I was or maybe 16. I shouldn't say 13. But I remember feeling I couldn't play my guitar and I felt weird. I said, you know what? But I always took the responsibility of that. So, and a lot of people who look at that I've grown up with and been friends for years who are musician friends who are all now corporate guys or whatever, they all look enviously oh, you can do whatever you want. But, the sacrifice of it is I've never worked for anybody.
Right.
In my whole life. Yeah. I mean, except for working maybe when I was in a summer job.
Right.
But I never worked for anybody my whole life.
Wasn't the bread route working for somebody?
Well, it was a franchise. So in other words, you buy the bread, and if you don't deliver it, you pay for the bread. and the accounts you have to there's no guarantee. It's those guys work hard, but the thing of it is, I've never worked for anybody ever.
Sure.
So if I had to feed my kids or put them in school, I had to figure out a way to do it. I mean, my wife was a very successful woman, and when she had kids, she stopped doing. But she's a very, very smart, financial person, and my kids are my one kid's a golf pro. He's and my daughter's got a PhD.
Nice. Yeah.
So I mean, they have good work ethic,
yeah.
which is.
And no interest, obviously, from either of them to go in the family business.
They have no interest. my daughter's a psychologist. She has some interest of treating, but not being involved.
Yeah, and your son's clearly like, well, I could be outside in the sunshine, or I could be in this building.
Right, a bad day is when it rains. So
good for him.
But
that's
they
fantastic.
follow it. I think we taught them to do what you love. If you love something, it's not work.
Yeah. Yep.
It's not work. So.
Yeah. And there's a big movement. It's interesting that you talked about the fact that you had the bread route, but then on top of that, as soon as you got done, you played music or you built your business, and you did that. And for 17 years, you played the long game. And there's a big movement. I wouldn't say a big movement, but there is today, to the side hustle. Everyone's got a side hustle. This is my side hustle, right?
Yeah.
I'm a filmmaker, but this is my side hustle because I love doing this. I could do this all day. And people do that. But there's a patience thing when you're young, 22, 25, whatever, you're like, fuck, I got to do it now. I got to get the stats up on my podcast or whatever the hell it is, or on my company. I got to get out there. How did you stick with it for 17 years and not say, fuck, man, this is going to be impossible?
You know what? I have to tell you that I had a vision. It's funny because when I went to my 10th year high school reunion, my brother and I were on tour. We had a fly-in from, I might have been Los Angeles. We flew in, and we were just home for a day, and we went to our class reunion, and it was great. And my 6th grade teacher was there, right? Because he was retiring, and when we were in 6th grade, it was his first year. And he showed me an essay that I wrote in 6th grade of what I wanted to do when I grew up, and it was exactly of what I was doing.
Wow!
And I said to myself, man, if I can't let this guy down. I can't not do it.
Yeah.
And it was funny because my father came out with my brother and I on a tour bus for like a week and a half on a tour. And he had so much fun. And my father was, an Italian guy, old school, not going to tell you he loves you every day, not going to, not that type of guy.
Yeah.
But, man, he was proud. And I said, man, this is the greatest thing ever. I get choked up thinking about it.
I could tell, man.
So I said, let's and my brother and I, we were twin brothers, and we would really we would fight. We would, but it was like a spark, and we would push each other a little bit more. We were very competitive, but, let's see who can do better. Let's see who can do better numbers. Let's see who can get this. And it pushed you, man.
Yeah.
I don't know if kids have that push now, but you're a filmmaker.
Yeah.
That's a tough road.
Yeah, totally.
We do a lot of prop rentals for the movies.
Do you? Oh, cool.
Yeah, we do tons of prop rentals,
Yeah.
And because we have a lot of vintage gear, and it's crazy.
Right.
And, which I had that's the thing that Carroll had. I had no idea of that. Like when the show Vinyl, when that was on HBO.
Yeah.
We did all that.
Did you?
All that gear.
I love that show, and not that I thought it was a great show, but I love just being able to get in the world and I look around past the characters and like all the stuff in the background and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm looking at those things.
Yeah, but I was in the music business. I was a player in that time frame, so all those references were exactly what I knew.
Yeah,
and but we do, But again, you have to have a desire to be a filmmaker. If you don't love it, it's tough.
Yeah, absolutely. And you get to the point, I think, where you're kind of like, I don't really know how to do anything else. This is what I know how to do, right?
There was no plan B.
Right.
And you know what? Real successful people don't. I mean, look, actors who work at, or they're an Uber driver or they work in a restaurant.
Sure.
Hey, man, it's an ends. I looked at my jobs like it was an end to the means, like a means to the end.
Yeah.
You do what you have to do.
Sure.
I had a lot of guys, friends of mine, who said, I'm not going to do this. It's too difficult. And they're in corporate jobs, and they do very well. But, I don't know. They always tell me that they're not happy.
Right.
I can literally say I'm happy. My wife says, you don't really care. You love going to work.
Yeah.
And I love it. I love looking at the stuff. I love, my thing is I like putting it all together. It's a thrill for me.
Sure.
And I don't look, we don't look for accolades from artists. If nobody says anything, I'm a happy guy. I don't need the pat on the back, you know?
Yeah.
Just thank you very much and tell your friends. That's what I say to everybody.
Right.
And they do.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of so.
So you guys did the merger in 2016, a month after you said your brother?
My brother passed away. We actually did like in September, end of August, but the plan was to actually merge the companies in January.
Okay.
Yeah. And my brother passed away of a heart attack on Christmas Eve, right before. So right when everything was moving, he did a lot of work on the design of the new studios. He was involved in that. But, he was my brother was the install design guy.
Got it.
And, that we have Anthony Fischetta, who works here, who's stepped into his role, has done a very good job. But I mean, the reason that's another thing, we would be up against these worldwide companies doing a $500,000 install, and they're like, who are these guys from Jersey? Well, you get one, then you get another one, and you get another one, and we've done a number of those. And the reason that our selling point is, hey, we stand behind everything we do. You need something, we're there to help you.
Yeah.
You're not calling the main office in Siberia.
Yeah. Yep.
You're calling us on my cell phone at 11 o'clock at night.
Right.
So.
Right. What do you think? I mean, it's been 3 years. A lot of growth in those 3 years since you guys did the merger. What do you think your brother would think at this point? What would there be a surprise for him? Would there be? What would you like to tell him about where it's at right now?
I talk to him all the time because I have some of his ashes in a little road case in my office. Because I figured that would be the appropriate thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I can actually hear him in my head sometimes.
Sure.
And I could hear him, and I think he'd be totally cool with it.
Yeah.
He was very excited about it, and he'd be totally. Listen, it's a great job. We have a great staff. We have great gear. We have great clients. Business is growing all the time, and it's not easy. Like I said, it's our main focus is we got to pay 50 guys a week,
right?
And they get paid every Friday no matter what,
right?
So but it's a burden, but it's also it's a source of pride, man.
Sure.
Source of pride.
Yeah.
There's a lot of families that have drinking the Kool-Aid and believe in what we're doing, and we're trying. And again, like what we're trying to do is like we're not going to be here forever. I'm not going to be here forever. I'm 63 years old. How much longer am I going to do this? Right. I would love to do it until I'm not. I don't feel it.
Yeah.
But in regards to that, the young guys can take it over. Let's hope so.
Right.
Yeah. Because we built something. And I tell them that, it's up to them. And I said, but this is what it takes.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yep.
But they've been doing it.
Yeah.
They've been doing it.
Anthony, I know your phone and your emails dinging away, dude. I know it's a Monday morning, April 1st, and it's your birthday, so I don't want to keep you from anything anymore. I really appreciate you giving me the time, man. This has been great.
I appreciate it. Thanks, I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
You bet, man. And I want to come down and see both places. I want to definitely check out the spot in the city because I'm there mostly.
Yeah, come on down. I'll buy you lunch.
Beautiful. Come
on down. I'll show you around. It's pretty cool.
All right.
It's pretty cool. All right, man.
I appreciate it.
Larry, thank you so much.
Happy birthday to you, huh?
Thanks, brother.
All right, buddy.
Appreciate it.
I'll talk to you.
Talk soon. Bye.
Anthony, sir, I thank you for being on the show. Guys, stay tuned next week, episode number 132. We've got front of house engineer and tour manager Shay Stock breaking it down for us right here. You can follow us during the week at Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify, all as Roadie Free Radio. Check out that website, roadiefreeradio.com. Send me a note because I want to hear from you. That's info@roadiefreeradio.com. And my friends, you know what to do. Y'all be safe out there. No roadies, no rock and roll.